Welcome to Recover Anew, a podcast about starting over, healing out loud, and becoming who you were always meant to be. I'm Maury, and this space is for anyone who's choosing to grow through what they've gone through. We talk about sobriety, self-reflection, and the messy, beautiful process of rebuilding life without the bottle, without the mask, and without pretending. Now, this isn't about having all the answers. It's about telling the truth. One episode, one story, one breath at a time. You're not alone. And you're not broken. You're just becoming. Let's recover anew. So today, I want to talk about something that used to make me uncomfortable. The idea of going to a 12-step meeting. Now, to be honest, I had a pretty distorted view of what they were. Most of that came from movies and TV shows. You know the scenes. Everyone sitting in a circle, someone dramatically oversharing, while others nod and make jokes. Think of movies like 28 Days with Sandra Bullock, where the recovery center is played for laughs, or You, Me, and Dupree, where Olsen Wilson stumbles into a meeting like it's just another quirk in his messy life. Even in Fight Club, those meetings were depicted as something to be manipulated. Those portrayals of 12-step programs feel like a joke, or worse, like last resort for people who have lost everything. And because that was the picture in my head, I thought, that's not me. I don't belong there. I thought those rooms were for people who had hit rock bottom in every imaginable way. Only people with DUIs, people who had lost their families, people who were sleeping on sidewalks or getting kicked out of bars, homes, and jobs. I didn't think there was anything there for someone like me. Someone who was holding it together on the outside, supposedly still functional. And I definitely didn't want to be around what I assumed was a room full of people who hadn't given up. But let me tell you, I was wrong. First of all, most meetings don't even look like what you see in movies. A lot of them don't have you sitting in a circle. Some take place in church basements, yes, but others are in coffee shops, parks, rec centers, online, or in just rented spaces. The vibe is often more relaxed and welcoming than I ever expected. You can just come in and just sit. You don't have to talk. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to do anything but be there. And that in itself starts healing. The first time I went, I sat in the back. I didn't want to participate. I wasn't ready to tell my story, but no one pressured me. A few people said welcome or keep coming back, and then they just let me exist in that space. And in that quiet corner, just listening, I felt something that I hadn't in a long time. Safety. Not because I had all the answers, but because the people in that room had walked the same road, and they weren't judging me for where I was on mine. That's something powerful about 12-step rooms. Everyone was once a newcomer. Everyone remembers what it felt like to walk in feeling broken, unsure, skeptical, and scared. And because of that energy, in those rooms is often filled with gentleness, patience, and grace. I quickly saw it wasn't a place for lost causes. It was a place for people. People from all walks of life. Some were quartered to be there, yeah, sure. But other people were there by choice. People who had decades of sobriety showed up every week just to support someone who was coming in for the first time. I met doctors, lawyers, teachers, moms, veterans, college students, and I realized addiction doesn't care who you are. And healing happens when you find people who understand. One of the most beautiful things in 12-step culture is the way that every victory is celebrated. 1 year sober, we'll clap for that. 1 month, absolutely. 1 day, even better. 1 hour, that's courageous. And if you've made it to just one hard moment without picking up a drink, you're honored. No one's measuring your worth by how far you've fallen. They're celebrating the fact that you're still getting up and you're still trying. And that support doesn't stop there. There are groups for men, for women, for LGBTQ plus folk, for young people, for people of faith. Some meetings are discussion-based. Others are focused on meditation or study. There's a space for everyone. There's also community outside meetings, barbecues, retreats, social projects, and shared laughter. The kind of life-giving connection that addiction try to rob us of. And when you're ready to go deeper, there are sponsors. People who will walk beside you to guide you through the steps and to help you face what you've been avoiding one day at a time. Not to fix you, but to remind you that you're worth the fight, that someone else has made it through, and so can you. You know, one of the biggest fears that I had about going to meetings was, what if I see somebody I know? But what I learned is this: if you see someone you know, it just means that they're there for the same reason as you. And the beauty of 12-step programs is there's a code. What's said there stays there. And in all meetings I've been to, from New York to Long Beach, in multiple states, I've never once heard someone talk about who they saw at a meeting. Being anonymous and respect is taken very serious. So if you're even just a little curious, I'd suggest you go. Just once. It's free. Sit in the back like I did. You don't have to speak. Just listen. Let the energy settle around you and see what stirs up your spirit. If it's not for you, that's okay. But if it is, it might change your life. Because what I thought was a last resort for broken people turned out to actually be a really crucial lifeline. A place where I started to feel whole again. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. And thank you so much for being open to growth. And remember, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're just becoming. Let's recover anew.